Right, okay, you... okay.
We were hunted, persecuted, forced into hiding, all because some would consider our power dark, unnatural.
Yeah.
We were on the brink of extinction. We were blessed with a miracle, the gift of life. Power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
You should be comfortable with it. Just there you go.
It's a good rule of thumb.
The power of one, the power of two, the power of many.
Oh, man!
Oh, that's a good one.
Fuck me!
When South Park did that bit on Star Wars about put a chick in it and make it lame and gay, that was meant to be a joke, not a challenge. But for the third episode of Acolyte, Leslie Headland and her writers went challenge accepted. Before, the Acolyte was just boring. Now it's boring and bad and chock full of lesbian cringe. This is the kind of story you'd expect someone who hates gay women to write. The women in the show are in an all-female commune, called it. They call themselves witches. They literally live inside a giant vagina. And of course, the show tries to make them sympathetic, but ends up making them look questionable, if not like villains. The whole episode is a flashback to events that happened 16 years ago, right before the fire that killed May and Osha's family. The witches are hiding on planet Brindok in a compound inside a mountain. The twins are supposed to take the rite of ascension, where they properly join the coven. May wants to, but Osha doesn't. They've also gone outside the compound to this tree that Osha likes, which is against the rules because the witches are trying to stay hidden. From whom? The Jedi. Why? Apparently because the witches use the Force in a way the Jedi consider to be too close to the dark side. The witches, led by Osha and May's mother Anastasia, view the Force as the thread, and instead of honing a single person's control over the Force to fight, they try to combine their Force powers. The twins are a manifestation of that, literally. It's implied that Anastasia created them using the Force. The Ascension ceremony happens in all its cringe-filled glory, but only May gets the Ascension mark. Osha's turn is interrupted. Unfortunately for the witches, the Jedi found the planet, and they confront the witches in the middle of the ceremony. Master Indara asks whether the witches have children with them. Anastasia denies that they do, but the Wookiee spots Osha. The twins eventually come out, and Indara asserts the Jedi's right to test the twins to see how powerful they are in the Force. The witches decide that since they can't stop the Jedi's test or kill them without drawing more attention, the twins should lie and deliberately fail the test. May obeys, but Osha doesn't, and decides she wants to become a Jedi. Anastasia reluctantly lets Osha go with the Jedi, but May isn't happy about it and tries to kill Osha to keep her from leaving. May sets fire to the door. Osha manages to sneak out through a tunnel, and as she escapes, she hears the other witches scream during an explosion. Once out into the compound, she spots May on the other side of a bridge. The pair try to coax each other to their respective sides, and then Osha sees the dead witches' bodies. The twins scream at each other until May's side of the bridge gives out and she falls. Soul comes in out of nowhere to save Osha and takes her past the dead witches back to his ship. When she wakes up, he tells her that everyone's dead, but she can come with him and become a Jedi. Meanwhile, May goes to the tree, but Osha isn't there. Where to begin? First of all, this is easily the worst Star Wars story I've seen in a while. It's worse than The Last Jedi by a clear country mile. We can just start with the pacing. The first 15 minutes of this is so slow, I almost gave up. I tried to speed it up, and I could, but I couldn't play it with sound, so I had to suffer in regular time through the lesbians finger fucking the sky so they could put some circle on this little girl's head. Then we get the confrontation between the witches and the Jedi, and that goes on forever. Things didn't hit a normal pace until 25 minutes into the show when the twins go to get tested by the Jedi. Then it just breezes by. That's nearly half an hour of some of the most boring, cringiest TV I've ever seen. And they turned the cringe up to 42 because, oh my god, is the writing bad. This episode was written by people who know nothing about Star Wars. Who thought it was a good idea to name these women witches? They just did a show about witches. There's that whole subplot in Ahsoka built around the witches of Dathomir. So if you use the word witch, that's what people are going to think of. It's confusing. But worse is the reasoning for the commune inside Mount Vagina on planet LeBeau. Anastasia says that her people are hunted and hated in the galaxy because of their powers, at a time that's supposed to be the height of the Jedi's power and prominence. There are female Jedi of every species. Many of them are masters, some of them are on the Jedi Council. Why would anyone hate the space lesbians just because they can use the Force? Anastasia says that the Jedi hate the witches because the Jedi consider their powers dark. Okay, but are the witches tapping into the dark side? Because that's the only reason the Jedi would go after them. Throughout the expanded universe and in the Clone Wars show, which Disney still counts as canon, we see other groups of Force users. The Jedi leave them alone unless those groups mess with the dark side. Why? Because the dark side is dangerous. If someone powerful in the Force taps into it, they could threaten the entire galaxy. This is why Jedi test Force-sensitive kids and take them for training. It's to keep them from becoming dark side users. It's also the reason they don't train older Force-sensitive people. It's not that they can't be trained, it's that those people have formed attachments that make them more easily swayed by the allure of the dark side. So, are these witches tapping into the dark side like the witches of Dathomir? If yes, then it makes sense the Jedi would show up. But here's the kicker. When they show up, they don't attempt to do anything to the witches. The Jedi are only there because of the twins. In other words, according to the show, the Jedi would have left the witches alone, but since the witches involve children in their potential dark arts, the Jedi came. But the show treats the Jedi as if they're the bad guys without ever showing them be the bad guys. Instead, we see a creepy, cringy cult doing weird space woo, and the space police come into lesbian Waco and going, okay, y'all can do all that weird shit, but y'all can't teach that to kids. And I'm pretty sure Headland and her writers weren't trying to make the witches look worse than the FLDS, but they kinda did. Speaking of nonsensical spiritual mumbo-jumbo, we get this insanity about the Force actually being the thread. I'm gonna let Black Mother Ascani explain.
All living things are connected by the same thread. A thread woven through all of existence. Some call it a force and claim to use it. But we know the thread is not a power you wield. Pull the thread, change everything. It ties you to your destiny. It binds you to others.
Right, except that's exactly what Yoda says.
For my ally is the Force, and a powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow. Its energy surrounds us and binds us. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. You must feel the Force around you. Here, between you, me, the tree, the rock, everywhere.
Old girl said the same thing, but in a less artful, more boring way, and then she contradicts herself. She says that the Force isn't meant to be used as power, and then immediately uses it not only to control the weird fruit, but to defend against and counterattack another person. That's literally what the Jedi do. Oh, but see, the witches are special because they want to combine their Force powers, which does fuck all because Anastasia easily overpowers the other two women. Ah, but see, the twins are different. They're more special. Together they'll wield a power too great and terrible to imagine, or something to that effect. How is this possible? Well, the show implies that Anastasia may have created the twins using the Force. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that supposed to be unique to the prophecy about Anakin? Yes and no. No, in that Palpatine says that his master Darth Plagueis learned how to create life. This is a dark side power, and there's no reason to think that Plagueis was the only one who discovered it. So it's possible, if these witches are dark side users, for Anastasia to use the Force to create children in another woman's womb. It's been implied numerous times that this is what Palpatine did with Shmi, although it's still possible the Force itself created Anakin. However, that Anastasia's attempt resulted in twins leads to that yes, because Osha leans to the light side of the Force and May leans to the dark side. That does seem to be a play on the prophecy about the Chosen One bringing balance to the Force, and if that was intended, that's a stupid retcon that doesn't serve the overall story of Star Wars. Why diminish Anakin's role in bringing balance to the Force? I know the answer is because he's got the penis and apparently being male is now bad for the brand, but story-wise, it doesn't make any sense. Again, it's like the people writing the show don't know anything about Star Wars lore, so they're trampling over well-established canon while also retreading old ground. It also doesn't help that the witches never come across as sympathetic. They've isolated themselves in a galaxy that doesn't have a problem with Force users. They're trying to keep the twins from learning about the outside world. When Osha says she doesn't want to go through with the rite, the witches pressure her to go along. When she says she wants to leave, they try to talk her out of it. This is another contradiction from Anastasia. When she finally lets Osha leave with the Jedi, she tells the girl that it's her choice and that there's no such thing as fate. But in her rant about the thread, Anastasia talked about how the thread connects people to their fate and each other. And then there's the way the witches react to the Jedi. First, they hide the girls, making themselves look incredibly shady. Then, when the Jedi won't leave, Anastasia basically mind rapes a 16-year-old boy as a threat. This is Torben, who's still a Padawan at the time. He's the one who feels so guilty that he takes poison. Anastasia attacks the boy to get the Jedi to leave, and we're supposed to think the boy is the bad guy. By the way, how in the hell does Torben become a Jedi Master so fast? Remember, he's in a trance for a decade, and he's called Master Torben, implying that he's been a master since he started to trance. So he became a master at 22? So Torben could be a master, but Anakin couldn't. No wonder he was pissed. Anyway, back to this show. Then we have the problem of May. See, the first two episodes made it seem like she was getting revenge for the Jedi killing her family, but now we find out that she tried to murder her sister out of nowhere, so there goes that revenge angle. There's nothing sympathetic about May. Throughout the episode, we see that she's selfish, controlling, and full of anger, traits admired by the Coven, by the way. If the point is to make the Jedi out to be the bad guys, it doesn't help to have May act like a villain trying to kill her sister, and potentially killing the other witches. Now, we don't see how the witches die. Their bodies aren't burned and they don't show any lightsaber wounds, so it's not clear who killed them. My guess is that it'll be some combination of the witches using the Force to fight the Jedi, and May either joining in or interfering, and this causing a rebound that kills the witches, and May will blame the Jedi for this. It's also not clear how the fire spread so fast. Where are their fire extinguishers? Do they have no fire protection in Mount Vagina? What, is it just perpetually wet? There's nothing inside the whole compound to put out fires. That seems implausible, but then again, this is a very poorly written show, so it's possible no one thought about it. Or it could have been done to make it look like the Jedi might have set the fire, because the Jedi definitely go around just burning places down for no reason. Now, there is one positive in the show, and that continues to be Lee Jung-jae as Master Soul. He's given it everything, even when the script completely lets him down. Jodie Turner-Smith and Carrie-Anne Moss try to make it work, but since they speak English, I think they know how bad their lines are, so they're doing their best with what they've been given. I mean, could you imagine sitting through that table read for the chanting, let alone the actual filming? That shit would have had your ass going to Clam Slammers Anonymous in a hurry. It's so bad. So bad. Hell, I feel most sorry for the editor. They filmed this, shot coverage, and did multiple takes. Imagine being the poor schmuck who had to sift through all them takes and cut something together without dying from laughter. Just real quick, lesbians, can I talk to you? I want y'all to know that y'all are not like this. This is not representative of y'all in any way. This is a level of bad I forgot was possible. Even the most homophobic conservative couldn't reach this level of terrible writing. It's so bad. And it's not even fun bad. It's just bad and boring, and it'll make you cringe so hard you'll create a whole new set of abs. That said, I will give Kathy Kay and Leslie Moorhead credit. They did put a chick in it and made it lame and gay. Mission accomplished. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.